Steffensmeier, two-time state champ at Fort Madison, 119-pounder. But he fought hard. That's why it caught my eye when I watched him in the state. He went on to be a three-time All-American national finalist at UNI. And make a long story short, I was assistant coach at UNI at the time. I wrestled about every day back then. And one thing I found out about Gary early in his career was he was not afraid of fatigue. And that's a big deal. When you get someone that's not afraid to get tired. Actually, he got tired but just didn't care. That's the key. Everybody's going to get tired, but if you don't care, we got a good thing going here. Okay? And so I'm working backwards. What's going to help this kid? Well, I realized he doesn't care about fatigue. And I realized also, if we could just make this like a fight, he wins a lot. And his chances of winning go way up. And so what I start doing in practice when we wrestle is as soon as they said go, I slapped him right across the face as hard as I could. And it was on. And sometimes I slapped him before they even said go. And my goal was not so much to win, but my goal was to keep him in that state the whole match. And so sometimes I had to elbow him or something, or whatever, push him into the wall. But when he competed so hard for the whole time. And he progressed and got, I don't know how much better he got, but he got so much tougher that he would just will himself to win. And, Gary must have realized that as well, because here's what happened. Soon after, when he realized that he really competed better when he was pissed, or I don't know what you want to call it, but after I slapped him upside the head, it came to the point where he said, hey, coach, every match, dual meet, or every round of a tournament, he'd come up and say, coach, it's like this. It's like this. And I'd whack him. I'd probably get arrested these days doing that. But I would just whack him and off he'd go. I mean, every match. And you know what? In the sport of wrestling, there's so many great life lessons you take with you after your career's over. 20 years later, Gary Steffensmeier is at the University of Iowa getting his doctorate. Hell, I didn't know he'd even graduate with a BA. He gets his master's degree in statistics, and he's getting his doctorate in educational psychology. And he's going through, he's wrote his thesis, and now he's got to defend his thesis in front of this committee. And when you get people like that, they're real smart people, or at least they think they're real smart, right? And so he's defending his thesis. Well, I got a speaking engagement in Iowa City, so we meet up. We meet up at this coffee place, and then we walk back to near where he's going to have to defend his thesis. And I got to go. I'm about to go, and Gary gets up. He says, "No, boy, I need a favor." We're in this building, this lounge with people all around. He just stands up. "I need a favor, man." I knew what he wanted. He wanted me to smack him. And I'm looking around like, oh my, I'm not sure about this, but I obliged, man. And I put it on him a couple times, and I got the hell out of there before somebody could call the police. His thesis was teacher pedagogical beliefs to use competing devices in one-to-one technology initiative in schools. I already knew that. So anyway, Gary Steffensmeier was one of my in 37 years of coaching, my very favorite student athletes to coach, because he competed all out. And that's, for me as a coach, that was my goal, have every guy compete to their full potential. And that's what he did. Now he's a Hall of Famer. Let's bring him up, Gary Steffensmeier.
I really thought he was going to give me one. It's been a fun ride, you know. I'm up here getting rewarded for what I did a long time ago, and that's pretty awesome. No boy, thanks for the introduction. I didn't know what you were going to say, but that's fitting. That's true. I was pretty quiet, pretty laid back, kind of relaxed. Really tried to get myself calm before a match. It's, you know, that's not how you want to go into the match, but that's how I dealt with the nerves. So it was nice to get that smack to wake me up. So that's really what that was about. And you know, I just want to thank the committee. This is such a great honor. You know, there's so many people to thank. You know, I got so many great coaches. I can't even begin to discuss all the people that impacted my life in such a positive way. Teammates, you know, like Joe was talking about, huge impact. My parents, you know, I love my parents to death. You know, they were such a huge impact on my life. You know, I'm the youngest of 13 kids, so fighting wasn't a problem. You know? I had 7 older brothers. You know, I did not have an issue with fighting. So you know, my family, they were always behind me, always supporting me. Friends, you know, that picked me up when I was down. You know, not every day is great, you know, but it's always great to have great friends. And then fans, you know, after big matches, you know, you're elated for winning, and people coming up and congratulating you. Man, that makes a difference, you know. And so, you know, wrestling fans are the greatest people around, greatest people on the earth. And you know, most importantly, I want to thank my most important person in my life is my wife. She's done so much for me to help support, you know, getting a PhD. You know, when my wife was in the military, she retired as a lieutenant colonel, and I started my doctorate in Kansas State. And for some reason, the military transferred us, and they didn't know I was working on my doctorate. You know, so I kind of was like, hey, wait a second, I got to go. So I ended up having to get my master's there, staying an extra semester just to get through it. But you know, then going through that whole progression, and then after it was all done, you know, 5 kids, you know, driving an hour and a half to class up to get a PhD at University of Iowa, simply because that's what I set my goal to do. For no other reason. You know, it didn't make no sense. I'm not sure I'd do it in 100 years. It was tough. Got 5 kids and chasing after them and trying to pursue, you know, a personal role at that stage in your life. But my wife was big time behind it, and she wanted me to accomplish that. And so I am totally grateful to her. You know, this is the 4th Hall of Fame I'm in. I was in my high school, college, University of Iowa, or Northern Iowa, and I'm in Iowa High School. But this one is the first one where it's all wrestlers. It's all wrestling people, either fans or fans of people in the sport. And this sport has done so much for me. So much. I can't even describe it. And, you know, there's so many times in life you can go down a wrong path, and maybe I walked down a few of those paths, you know, but wrestling always brings you back. And so, you know, wrestling had such a positive influence way beyond the medals, way beyond the awards. And what it really did was it kind of gave me a platform, kind of like tonight. It gave me a platform to talk and impact people and impact athletes and coaches, and then later on teachers and different individuals. And, you know, wrestling taught me so many things. You know, being successful in wrestling, you know, requires hard work, dedication, perseverance, positive attitude, you know, dealing with defeat. You know, none of us want to do that, but you have to in wrestling. You know, there's nobody that went completely undefeated, and so that's something you got to learn to deal with. And then also winning graciously. You know, there's so many things that wrestling brought to me that helped me, and so I thought it'd be fitting to talk about people up here, you know, and what they did to help me, so I could, you know, talk about other people and help them in my coaching and in my teaching. And so I'm going to tell stories about 3 of these individuals that impacted my my teaching, my coaching, and my profession. And so the first one's Millboy. And so Millboy, you know, he's been a close friend of mine for a long, long time. You know, all the way back in college days, and him slapping me around. You know, but so I started coaching. I was at Kansas State. They needed a local high school coach, and I was like, okay, I'll volunteer for this. And so I was like, all right, I'll do it. And I called up. I mean, I had some good athletes, but we just didn't fight. You know, I mean, when going got tough, my boys went down. You know, they rolled over, and I'm like, this is not good. You know, this isn't very fun. And I called up Millboy, and I'm like, you know, at Warburg, it wasn't always peachy cream, you know, that first couple of years. What'd you do? And Millboy told me this story. And he says, Steph, you got a kid that can fight and get through a match without getting pinned. I said, yeah, I got one. He's like wiry and he fights, but boy, he's terrible. I mean, he gets tech balled by the second period every time. He said, perfect. Perfect. He goes, you can't do this at a tournament. You got to wait for a dual meet. And he said, wait till this kid or any kid. Wait till they go out there, they wrestle, they keep fighting, and they get off their back, and they keep getting off their back, and lose. They gotta lose. And he said, get up and clear the bench. And you go tell them guys, congratulate him. That's what I'm looking for. I want to see somebody not going down. I want to see somebody fighting. And if in that moment in time, them kids realized it was no longer about winning and losing, it was about effort. And I was able to instill that, hey, I'm going to reward you for effort. And that was the huge impact in my coaching career. You know, you can win a lot of matches against kids that aren't as good as you and not wrestle well. And you can wrestle some great matches against some great people and lose. And you should be proud either case. And so that was so impactful in my teaching and coaching career. It was focused on effort, not on winning. The second individual I'm going to talk about, you know, he is a legend in coaching. You know, Coach Gable was such an important individual in the sport. And when I was in the Hawkeye Club, you know, I was down there and wrestling, getting better. He was working with me. But I had a real eye for watching him. Because you know what I knew about Dan Gable? That he was a great coach. You know, and so I would watch not just Dan Gable, what he told me, I'd watch how he interacted with his athletes. And so I'm sitting in the sauna one time, and he's sitting across from me, and Mike Euchre was in there. Mike Euchre, couple-time All-American from Osage. And I loved listening to Coach Gable talk to Euchre, because Euchre was kind of goofy, and he'd get Gable talking. But Coach had this, Euchre was struggling. You know, he was like, I'm just not motivated. And I remember Coach Gable going, you know, you want to know what motivates me? And Euchre's like, yeah, what motivates you, Coach? And he said, what motivates me is my dad's not doing so good right now. And he said, he's not doing great, but you know what he understands. You know, he's old in life, but what he does still understand is when that Hawkeye singlet gets their hand raised. And he knows it's time to cheer. And that's what motivates me. And I looked at that and I was like, holy cow. Not only did he talk about his athlete needing to get their hand raised so he could achieve his goal, but he also talked about the importance of you're not going to wake up and be motivated. You got to find things in life that motivate you. You got to seek motivation out. And that lesson right there, I learned it vicariously by watching a legend in his craft, working with his athletes. But that lesson in life really helped me. Was, hey, nobody's going to motivate me. It's going to take me to motivate myself. So I need to seek out motivation, and that was so incredible. And what I talked a lot to my athletes about. Don't wait to be motivated. Get motivated yourself. All right, the last person I'm going to talk about, he hasn't got a chance to talk yet, but he was next to me at my locker in the Hawkeye room. And, this guy was always working out. He was always lifting. He was always, I'd come up to get an extra workout in, get an extra lift in, get an extra sauna in, and he was always there. I kid you not, he was always there. You know what though? If you did the math, he was second string when I was there. He was behind Mike Mena, weight above was McGinnis. There was no way he was going to start. He had 1 year left. Millboy must have called me 100 times saying, hey, Whitmer needs to come to Warburg. It might have been closer to 150. Jesse wasn't having it. He was staying. He was staying. But what was so impressive about this was he was training when he was JV. He was training to win a national title as a JV wrestler. You don't see that hardly ever. And that dedication, without any doubt in his mind, as he progressed and moved forward, when he finally got the shot, started to wrestle his senior year, and there was always rumors of Mena cutting back down, so who knows if he's going to still stay in the lineup. Mena stayed up, Jesse was in there. But the key to it all was that Jesse had trained and done what a champion does. He won the national title because he was on JV training like he was a national champion. And that is so important for athletes, for anybody in life. You given so few chances, you got to really take advantage when you can, but you got to be ready. And it's that preparation that impressed me so much. And I was so proud when you won the title, because you were my locker neighbor, Oh man, that's one of the NCAA champions that I was screaming for. Cedar Falls, Iowa, in the Dome, 97. Holy smokes, unbelievable. And you just can't measure something like that. So these three men up here, they taught me to focus on effort, not winning and losing. They told me to focus on, to seek out motivation, because it just isn't going to appear to you. And perseverance and beliefs in yourselves, even against all odds. That's what three people taught me. I can't even describe how many other people have taught me all kinds of other lessons. That's what wrestling does. That's why we're here. That's what the beauty of it is. And wrestling has been so impactful in my life. There's so many life experiences that I attribute to wrestling. I'm grateful for wrestling because it's made me who I am. And I truly appreciate it. And I just want to say thank you so much for this honor. Thank you.